What are my most wanted video games right now? Well, Mario, Zelda, Pokemon, Smash Brothers, Mario Kart. Oh, wait, what are my most wanted days of the week next week? Monday, Tuesday. This is something that's been on my mind for a while now, but it feels like within the past 10 years, we've been getting so many heavily desired games in these franchises or franchise revivals that have been begged for years. And while there's always going to be certain games I really want to see, certain franchises I would love to come back, it's just kind of to a point where I almost feel like a lot of the biggest heavy hitting games that I've always wanted to see, and I've seen other people have always wanted to see, have kind of released already, and they've been made, and some have been great, some have been disappointments, but kind of a weird thing to talk about what games do I really want to see next. And that's something I've felt with media across the board. So many TV show revivals and reboots and movie sequels that have taken decades and finally have come out. It's to the point where I feel like revival, reboot, reunion, that's all anybody ever talks about with TV shows. It's to the point where it feels like every single time you see an actor from a TV show do an interview, sometimes the only questions that get asked of them are like, oh man, is this show ever gonna come back? And they're like, I would love to see it. My fucking god, people have asked actors about a Big Bang Theory revival. That show ended in like 2019. What the hell is there to revive? Now, I don't think video games are nearly as egregious as that can be, but I do find that a lot of the games that I've heard discussions about for decades about, oh man, it would be great if this came back, or we got a sequel to this, and games that I've personally really wanted and begged for years, a lot of it within the past 10 years has come true. Like, let's go over some of this. Kingdom Hearts 3. That was always like a long-standing, oh my god, when are we gonna get Kingdom Hearts 3? We need to get Kingdom Hearts 3. We finally got Kingdom Hearts 3, okay. We finally got the Final Fantasy VII Remake, even though it got split into 3 parts, but we finally got Final Fantasy VII remade, for better or for worse. It's not really like a full-blown authentic remake, but it's something grander than that, so, you know, okay, we got that. We got Killer Instinct back. We got Battletoads back. We got Marvel vs. Capcom back a couple of times. The Last Guardian finally released after years. It's pretty strange because The Last Guardian back in the day was seen as like, oh my god, this forgotten about project that went through development hell. You know, that game was revealed at E3 2009 and then it finally released in 2016. And back then that was seen as like, oh my god, where did this game go? And now that's almost like a normal wait time for any game from reveal to release. Demon's Souls came back. That got a remake as a launch title on PS5. That was a big deal. Classic Mega Man came back with Mega Man 11. Then it came back again with Mega Man Dual Override. Zelda did exactly what everybody begged Zelda to do after the release of Skyward Sword with Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. Now to the point that everybody is begging Zelda to do something different from those two games, but whatever. Kid Icarus returned in 2012 after people begged for a Kid Icarus revival after seeing Pit and Smash Brothers brawl. 2D and 3D Metroid came back with Metroid Samus Returns, Dread, Prime 4. 3D Mario went back to sandbox roots with Odyssey, and then 2D Mario became weird again with Mario Wonder. Paper Mario went back to its roots with the Thousand Year Door remake. We got sequels to beloved games from the N64 and GameCube era with new Pokemon Snap, Kirby Air Riders. They brought Crash Bandicoot back with full-blown remakes of the original trilogy and Crash Team Racing, and then a full-blown new game with Crash 4. And now they give Spyro a similar treatment with the Reignited trilogy. Silent Hill has made a massive comeback. The Sonic franchise has done a lot to appeal to a lot of the classic fans with stuff like Sonic Mania. And then you also have a lot of the more modern fans getting a lot more what they like, with a lot more focus on the characters and the stories that they really enjoy with stuff like Sonic X Shadow Generation, Sonic Frontiers. Now, I keep forgetting, we got a World Ends With You sequel. That's crazy, but I think that just goes to show it doesn't feel as impactful to see a sequel to a game that long been wanted at this point. I feel like it's just an inevitability with a lot of these franchises. Back in 2016, 2017 or so, it was like the most impactful thing ever when Metroid Prime 4 was announced and Metroid Samus Returns was revealed. When they finally revealed that, yes, the Final Fantasy VII Remake is in production, and then later at PlayStation Experience they showed gameplay, and it looked amazing. The music sounded so good, and that was being worked on kind of in tandem with Kingdom Hearts 3. Two massive big budget games that people have been waiting for years. And you know, I think what made a lot of that very impactful back then was this feeling of like doubt that anything of that nature will happen or will happen anytime soon. And yeah, of course, there's always going to be game ideas or game franchises that are never gonna happen again. Not everything is certain, but it does feel like a lot of games that are still being begged for these days, they're inevitably going to happen. The idea of like a remake or just a new version of Chrono Trigger to play, yeah, that's gonna happen. My God, we got GoldenEye 007 re-released on Xbox and Nintendo Switch. You know, if you ever think like, oh, this certain thing will never happen or this game will never get re-released because of rights issues or whatever, I don't know. I think a lot of these companies are realizing like, well, we could make some money or no money. Like, my lord, we got SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom remade. When the hell would have that ever happened? Like 15 years ago, you get a random-ass licensed game remade. So what am I trying to get at here? Is there a core problem with this? Well, no, I don't really think there's a problem. More so, it's just kind of a different state of mind I'm in when it comes to looking forward to what video games are going to release this year, next year, whenever. Because about 10 years ago, there were plenty of games where I'm thinking like, man, it would be great if this franchise came back or this series was doing this again or this differently or that differently. And while that's always going to be the case, I feel like a lot of us have gotten the games that we've begged for. So at this point, the only thing to ask for are sequels to the games that got brought back a few years ago. It's like, oh, yeah, 2D Metroid is finally back. Metroid Dread finally released. What am I gonna ask for next? Another 2D Metroid. Yeah. I think I just have more of a whatever happens, happens mentality with the video games that release every year. I see many people very critical of the game lineups every year, specifically like, let's say, the exclusives on each console. And Nintendo usually gets the most commentary about this. Sony, I mean, they put out like probably like 3 games a year, so it's like, okay, well, what you can critique that, but like I think it's just a little more interesting to critique Nintendo's lineup just because it's usually like a dozen or so games, and you can say like, oh wow, was there something for everybody in this lineup? And a lot of this is probably just because I'm getting older, but I just don't really care as much if big games aren't releasing all the time or there isn't like a big holiday release like there always used to be. I like thinking about it and giving my feedback, but for me personally, the games that come out is kind of like, do I want to play that or do I not want to play that? And I'll play it if I want to, I won't play it if I don't. Because I've already gotten a lot of my dream games that I would really want to see. At this point, I'm just kind of like, yeah, show me what you got and I'll tell you if it sucks or not. And I do see a lot of people, specifically it was kind of surrounding, you know, the Switch 2's lineup and all of that. I've seen many people say, we need a generational title right now. We need something to release that's a big deal, like a Breath of the Wild thing. And my response is like, well, yeah, I mean, that would be great to have every fucking week. I don't know. Do you know how hard it is to do that? Like, you know how hard it is to create a generational video game? You really think Nintendo's in board meetings going, hey, you, make a generational video game. Do it. Shit just kind of happens, buddy. I'm sure every AAA video game that releases is aiming to be a generational video game. So to me, kind of asking for that game constantly, it's just like, well, yeah, I would like a generational video game to release, but at the same time, you can't just ask for this crazy innovative thing. Something like that is gonna happen when it happens. Which brings me back to the idea of like, it's kind of hard to have like a wish list of most wanted games right now because a lot of it is just inevitabilities or sequels to games that we've already gotten like 5 years ago. But yeah, you know, I want the inevitabilities. I want a new Halo. I want a new Ratchet and Clank or Spider-Man from Insomniac. I want a new Mario, a Zelda, all of that. But all of that stuff is obviously gonna happen at some point. I'm talking about asking for games that haven't gotten sequels in a while, and yeah, there's always going to be options to bring up, but I think a lot of the heavy hitters already released. And honestly, when I see a game that releases that's been begged for years and then doesn't even really like get talked about that much, I'm just kind of going like, What the hell? To me, that could be for numerous reasons. Maybe because the game that finally ended up releasing isn't very good. Maybe it wasn't marketed very well. Maybe it came out during a busy time of year. But I do feel like we've all kind of done something where we've asked for games or asked, oh, why aren't they making this game or that game or whatever, when we aren't actually going to buy and play these games. I feel like that's a trap many people fall into online. I mean, you see it in reaction videos to Nintendo Directs and State of Plays and stuff. I mean, like when you're making a reaction video, you want to be as engaging as possible, and you also want to have commentary over as much as possible. So it's kind of like, oh my God, I'm gonna freak the fuck out over, I don't know, this shit happening. I don't know. But of course, do you really care about everything going on here? No, you don't. And that's normal and that's healthy. A lot of these companies get flack for not utilizing all of their IPs. I see Sony get shit on a lot for their lack of Ape Escape use. And believe me, I would love to see Sony use Ape Escape in some way moving forward. At the same time, buddy, I don't see anybody fucking talk about any Ape Escape game outside of the first one on PS1. Now, of course, keep in mind, I'm not necessarily in any serious Ape Escape circles, but this is a franchise that sort of kind of feels like something that you look at and you're like, oh, this would be great as a part of Sony's major lineup, you know, just having a new Ape Escape game, that would be great. But I kind of just question, like, do they need a new Ape Escape game? Or is this just a case of, hey, this franchise has been dormant for like 15 years. That's gotta change. I think I'm just in the mindset that not everything needs to come back. Keep in mind, I'd be happy to see Ape Escape come back. As much as I don't like the direction Sony has taken, where they really don't focus on a lot of their more quirky, nicher game series, and they've seemingly kind of just farmed those out to Bandai Namco to publish multi-platform versions of them. So while Sony still owns the IP to Freedom Wars, Patapon, and Everybody's Golf, they pretty much licensed those IPs to Bandai Namco, and Bandai Namco publishes new versions of those games, also bringing them to Nintendo Switch. So these are still PlayStation franchises, but now they're multi-platform. And I think that's cool as hell. I didn't see a single goddamn person playing Freedom Wars Remastered. I didn't see anybody fucking play Patapon. I saw some people play Everybody's Golf, but still, it wasn't like this massive deal. So it does kind of make me question, like, I'm like, maybe Sony made the right call here, because at this point the games still get made. That's great. You know, these franchises are not dead. They just aren't Sony exclusive anymore, even though Sony still owns the rights to them. But it's like, okay, these games are out. We have new Patapon games. The Patapon games are great, but then I don't really see anybody playing these games or talking about them in any way. So again, I just want to repeat myself. I don't like what Sony is doing, but also judging by the sales I see of, let's say, Freedom Wars, like looking at the sales figures of that, even being multi-platform, that thing did not sell fucking shit. And that's an absolute shame, especially considering these are now multi-platform. They now have a huge player base to potentially sell this game to. And it ended up doing worse than that game did on the Vita. Now, to be fair, I mean, it was a brand new release for the Vita, so like pretty much every Vita owner was like, well, I gotta buy this. But I don't know, it's just kind of troubling. And these are games that I want to see come back, and I love to see new entries in, or remasters, or ports, or whatever. But sometimes I feel like many people, myself included, ask for certain games, and then nothing really happens when they come out. It just feels good to constantly be like, I want this, and also this game company should be doing this differently. And then they actually do it, and then it's just like, well, on to the next thing to beg for, and then not give a shit when it comes out. So my point is, I feel like throughout the years, I personally have done a lot of asking for certain games to come back. And while I feel like I'm somebody that appreciates everything in the game industry, like even when an RPG, oh no, when an RPG gets announced that I know is like in a cool franchise, I do think that's neat. I like seeing this stuff happen. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean it's all for me, but at the same time, I like seeing franchises being supported. And if I have the opportunity, I really like to give any game a try, even if I know it's in a genre I don't give much of a fuck about. But I've fallen victim to asking for games that I don't really care about. Like, I mean, like, if they happen, that's cool, but do I personally really want to see it? At my core, in my heart, I don't really care because it's not necessarily my thing. You know, like I think in the Most Wanted Sequels episode of Scott the Woz, I think I asked for Super Mario RPG 2. And like looking back at that, like that was definitely more so me saying like, I think that would be cool to see for the fans of that game. But overall, from my perspective, I think Mario RPG is such a self-contained experience that I think it works as just a singular, like it is what it is. This is Mario RPG. And then if you want more Mario RPGs, you have Mario and Luigi, you have Paper Mario. I think we're good. With that being said, if there's a Super Mario RPG 2, I'd be like, that's cool. Like I'm definitely gonna give it a try, but I'm not just gonna beg for whatever game. Like, it's just really hard to constantly think of what do I want next? And it's to the point where I want the inevitable franchises that consistently come out, like every console generation. I want new franchises. I want some revivals of old franchises. But when it comes to specifics, I don't, like, I'm just like, it's whatever. It's almost kind of exhausting to be like, I want this, and I want this, and I want this, and I want this. Because honestly, the video game industry adhering to everything that I want, revivals, sequels, all that stuff, that's how the video game industry becomes like the TV industry, where it's nothing but revivals of old-ass TV shows. Oh, a season 4 of a show that ended in 2006. At this point, I feel like a lot of our dream games have already been adhered to, and I'm just completely open to seeing what the video game industry brings next. And if it sucks, and I'll tell them it sucks. And just know, if you ever see me say something along the lines of, guys, I know what I want to see Nintendo do this year, a sequel to Dance Dance Revolution Mario Mix, you know I'm completely out of fucking steam. I'm just throwing shit at the wall at that point.